Welcome back, guys. So this isn't like a traditional tea talk video. It's just kind of like one of those like yappy videos where I just talk about like random stuff, which you could argue is like what my tea talks usually are about. But I wanted to, I'm kind of laughing because I don't think like I actually ever intended on like making like this kind of video, but I didn't even realize it. I was talking to like one of my buddies the other day about it, and for the life of me, with all the stories that I've given on this channel, have yet to given the story about how I actually had a hit. Yes, a hit put out on me. Like I'm talking like some like mafia. It wasn't by the mafia, thank God, But yeah, I actually this is like back when I was in college and running for LSU and stuff. I actually had a hit, like a hit put out on me, and it's just like even still thinking about how goofy it was, but like very very real. So I just wanted to kind of like make a quick video kind of like talking about that just because. And I mean, like, you guys can even see like I'm actually in my living room. I was kind of like moving some stuff around, and I've also been kind of decorating everything too. You got that stuff, and you can't really tell, but like above I also like had some picture frames. I might like show it off a little bit later, but like I said, I don't even have my tea. I don't have anything. We're just going in. We're just going in. We're jumping in the pool. No life floaties, all that joint. Back in college, there was a situation when I was running for LSU that I actually had a hit put out on me. And like I said, I can't make this up, but it was actually by this old man who actually was in a wheelchair. So when I tell the story even more so, it just seems it just seems so much more goofy. But this was in 2021, so a few years after my mom passed away, I actually was sitting in my car outside of a Walmart, and I was just kind of chilling. I just finished shopping or whatever, and I get a phone call from one of my teammates. He's like, "Hey, would you be down to like meet with this old man?" He says he's like a big fan. He supports LSU sports and everything, and he would really like to meet you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, like like yeah, give him my contacts, and we can touch base from there. So that's how it started. And initially, I didn't think really anything of it. I just thought like this was like a normal fan of like LSU sports and everything. So I was like, okay, sure, right. So I ended up going with the same teammate to like the man's house and everything. And it was all cool. It was all fine and stuff like that. But it started kind of being a little bit weird. Like, and again, I'll touch upon that more so in like later in the video. But kind of at the end and everything, where I like said my goodbyes and stuff. The guy, the old man in question, who was obviously reclined to the wheelchair, he was like, "Oh, well, when can you come back again? When can you come back again?" And like I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I don't really know when, because like I work in a lab. Obviously, like I'm part of the track and field team. So there was a lot of different things. That was a bug, by the way. But there's a lot of different things that I just had going on. And mind you, like this is still like a random guy. Like I wasn't expecting to like, hang out with this guy 24/7. I thought this was just a normal, like, oh, hey, meet, greet, good job or good luck this season and all that stuff, like what has happened to me in the past, right? So I didn't think much of it. But literally after that day kind of came and went, he at this point in time in the story still has my phone number. So he was like texting me every single day about like, oh, I'd love to hang out with you again. I'd love to hang out with you again. And I'm just like, okay, like, not in like being rude by any stretch of the imagination. Like I was not trying to be rude. But again, it's just like you're kind of telling this person, like, hey, I have other things to do, don't take it personal, yada yada, blase, blase, all that stuff, right? And so fast forward to, I think it was like Christmas time. Yeah, no, it was actually Thanksgiving time, where the guy actually reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, what are your plans for like Thanksgiving?" And I thought it was just like a normal conversation. So I replied, I was like, "Oh, just hanging out with some friends and family and nothing really crazy." And so then he responds by saying like, "Oh, can I join?" Mind you, this is a random man. I'm just like, no, I didn't want to say it like that, and I don't think I really said it that explicit, is like no, like that definitive is like no, but I still kind of played it off and was like went about it in like a good way. You know what I mean? So then Christmas comes around and he reaches out. We had kind of like the same conversation, and he's asking if he can come to New Orleans with me, and like also like wanting to come with me to drop off my friend at the airport and stuff like that. I'm just like, no. It was really weird. Like the entire thing, the entire situation to me was just very odd, honestly. And so I think maybe like a few days after Christmas, he reaches out to me again and he's like, "Oh, I don't like how you've been lying to me and this and that and the third and like all these things." I'm just like, "Brother, what are you talking about? Like you would have thought I was like in a relationship with this dude, like not to be weird, but it was a real weird situation because I had only met this guy once, and I just went over, shook his hand, hung out with him a bit, talked, sports and everything, and my teammate was right there. But again, I kind of picked up on it when I went over there that it was kind of a weird situation because the guy in question was always talking about things like, yeah, he only wants to hang around male LSU athletes. He doesn't want to be around women. It was kind of weird. And then like he was like, "Oh, well, I need to get stretched and everything like that." So I was not going to do that because again, like this is a random guy. So my teammate actually like kind of like throws him on his back and stuff to like stretch him out and everything, because again, like he was really reclined to the wheelchair and stuff. But I still thought like all those things were just kind of weird, honestly. In between all that, like the point that I'm about to get to, and like from when I left, he did say that he would be fine with like just texting me from now, or like, just I guess like every now and then, right? Which I was perfectly fine with because I'm just like, okay, like, if you need some words of encouragement or whatever, like, sure. And a lot of people, which is kind of what I am actually, this is part of the reason I don't really give my phone number out as much. But yeah, like there are some people who I've given my phone number to in the past just because I'm like, oh, hey, you got my phone number, right? But I don't really do that anymore, really, because of like this situation and like others that are been kind of weird. Again, I'm just kind of laying the bricks, laying the foundation to build that house. So yeah, I know that was kind of a long intro, but I say all that to say a little bit after Christmas, I think maybe like a week or so after Christmas. So going into New Year's, like I said, he reached out to me and was like, "I don't appreciate how you've been lying to me. You manipulated it." And I'm just like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is weird." Because I'm just like, this is like actually weird. Like, I just went over here. I'm thinking I'm just going to like meet a fan of like LSU sports, and he's over here like kind of like obsessed. Like, it was weird. And so I didn't respond. Like I just flat out just did not respond because I'm just like the guy like is over here wanting to hang out with me like 24/7, wanting to come with me to New Orleans to visit my family, wanting to come with me to bring my friend to the airport and stuff. Like all these things, like wants to talk to me 24/7. It was weird, and I was like, it just didn't feel right. Like honestly, I mean, like you can like put like your own speculatory like thoughts and stuff like that. But for me personally, like it felt uncomfortable because it's like, number one, this is a random guy. Number two, he seems like very obsessed. And like number three, he even said that he doesn't really want like to be around anyone except for male LSU athletes. So, like I said, I wanted to wash my hands of it completely, honestly, and just because, and also I wasn't the only one that was going over there like hanging out, which I only went once, but I found out that there were other teammates of mine who actually knew this guy and were hanging out with him and stuff like that. So I didn't really get a bad feeling until the things kind of started bubbling up, which again, let's go to the teammates. So after he texted me that stuff a little bit after Christmas, like I said, I didn't respond. I completely disregarded it and just kind of moved on. I was like, okay, well, I think the best thing right now is just to just leave it alone, act like it doesn't exist, whatever, right? So I think it was around New Year's time, he like texted me again and he kind of like repeated the same stuff. I mean, and I didn't even read it because look, I barely read my text messages in general, just be real guys. But he he texted me, I think it was like literally the message feed was so long, you would have thought I was reading the Iliad and the Odyssey. I was not finna read all that, not without like a cup of tea or some popcorn. I wasn't finna read all that. So again, I just disregarded it for like the second or third time. After New Year's is when like the team came back together and we had our first practice, like pre-practice for like the new season and stuff. I walk into the locker room, and mind you, this is like the very first practice, right? I walk into the locker room, I'm putting spikes in my or screw-ins in my new spikes and stuff like that. I'm in the zone, I'm feeling good because I'm like, yeah, this is the start of like a new year, new season, right? Our first meet is literally in like 5 days. So I'm feeling pretty good. One of my teammates walks in. He's like, "What's good?" I'm like, "What's good, bro?" Go back to what I was doing, right? So I'm thinking like off rip, like, okay, like everything's cool, it's just a normal day of practice, right? I go outside, we have practice, and I forgot what led up to it. But the same teammate who walked in the locker room was like, "Yeah, well, you're a lie." Mind you, this was now in front of everyone. So he could have confronted me if he had like some kind of grievance or whatever, literally one on one when I was in the locker room right then and there. But he chose to wait almost to kind of like try to embarrass me in front of everybody else. So I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean? I let him know like that was kind of fake because in that kind of same, not even kind of, but in that same realm, he was making an accusation and he didn't even really know exactly what he was like accusing me of. He was like, "Oh, you're a liar, you're fake, taking advantage of like this old man in a wheelchair." I'm just like, "What are you talking about?" Right? I didn't know. And then what kind of fed into that is like there were like the other teammates that had been helping this guy out, they were kind of saying the same thing. And mind you, I literally had seen these people literally the entire day. I mean, in some situations, like we walked by, right, stopped, was eating, chopped it up, whatever. And especially like in the locker room where it's like, hey, the same guy who's now calling me out in front of the team was literally right then and there. We were one on one and he could have like asked me or like pulled me to the side or like whatever, right? None of that. So literally at the same time, all of like, well, I say all of, but like I say like 90% of like my teammates were like trying to get at me. And it got so bad to where, and if you guys know me, I don't duck a fade. Like I'm just be real. Y'all boy don't duck a fade. So I was very much ready to fight. And it got so bad to where my coach actually had to pull me into the locker room to calm me down because at the same time, like I was like cussing, fussing, all this stuff. Because at least from like my point of view was like if you have a problem with somebody before you make an assumption or before you start throwing things out there, why don't you just like approach them one on one, especially when literally you see me right then and there, right? Instead of just like waiting to like do that. I didn't like that, especially considering that I didn't really know what they were talking about. It was I like I said, I don't even think they knew what they were talking about, right? When we and I surprisingly we went with through that entire practice and there weren't any fists thrown surprisingly because like I was ready. Like at that point I was ready to get kicked off the team. I didn't care because I'm just like, how are you gonna be here kind of throwing out all these like accusations and saying, "Oh, I'm a terrible person, I'm taking advantage." Like, what are you talking about, right? I talked to one of my teammates, not the one who approached or didn't approach me in the locker room, but one of the guys who had been working with the old guy for quite a long time and was actually a lot more, I would say, reasonable, right? And you can actually talk to. So I pull him to the side for a conversation. I explained to him the entire situation. I mean, he actually kind of peeped it and he was like, "Oh, like, so I see where the discrepancy kind of is." I'm like, "Exactly." Because I never promised that I would go over and like take care of this guy 24/7. Like, I understand he has like a need and he can't really walk and stuff, but that's more of like a healthcare standpoint. We're not healthcare professionally. I'm not a healthcare professional, right? All I said was when they were telling me about like some of the things he's gone through, I told them, I was like, "Yeah, like, I've worked with my mom before because she used to have seizures because of her illness. So yeah, I'm familiar and like some of those kind of things, right? But I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm not a trained professional. Like, brother, at this point in time, I'm 24. I'm the oldest person on the team. I'm just trying to get out. Like I'm gonna be real because I was a COVID athlete, so I was not trying to like be in any drama. I was like I just wanted to run because I already got my degrees at this point. I just wanted to run, right? Because I finally had the ability to just focus on sports, right? So I was just so perplexed at this entire situation. But at the end of the conversation that I was having with this teammate, he revealed that the guy in question, so the old man, purposely told all or the people that he was cool with on the team, which at this point it felt like 90% of like the guys, to basically try to jump me at practice. Like he actually said that. Like he told me, like, yeah, the guy was like, yeah, he wanted us to come after you at, when we were here at practice. And so I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, wow, which again, that actually reminded me because there were conversations I did have with the guy, the guy in the wheelchair, the old guy, where he said like, yeah, he did not like people doing him dirty, and he would get people that he felt like did him dirty jumped. Like he would actually try to like get people to like go and get that person or whatever. So yeah, like now I was kind of like on the other on the, or I guess like the sharp side of the sword at this point, and like incur his wrath, all because I didn't hang out with him. And again, I'm just like, this is a random guy. I thought he was just like a random one-time fan meetup, like, hey, how you doing? Signing an autograph. That's what I thought it was. I wasn't like trying to be friends with the guy. Again, I know it sounds so bad, but you gotta understand, like, I'm 24 years old. I'm the oldest person on the team. I literally still have lab and stuff like that. Then I was already going through a lot of stuff even before the season, like during the season. And yeah, so it was just a lot on my plate to handle. And so it just seemed like the fact that this like random guy was getting mad because I'm just like, no, you can't come to my family's Christmas dinner and you're a random person, along with other things. Now all of a sudden he's getting my teammates who he's cool with to try to like fight me, which again, let's be real, they weren't going to fight me. They knew, like I said, like I throw hands, because I have been, like when I was in college, like I got in a lot of fights. So I'm just gonna put it out there like that. In a serious like situation and stuff like that, like no, I do not play games. So I didn't appreciate that. So after that entire situation, after I realized what happened and just kind of like let bygones be bygones, chopped it up with my teammate. There were some things we did agree with, and there were some things we disagree with. But regardless, he did understand, like, hey, this whole situation really did spiral out of control. That was really unintended. So, I feel like the matter like settled itself. A few days later, the old guy actually reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for trying to like get your teammates to jump you and stuff like that. It was foul on my part." I didn't respond. Like I didn't respond. I actually ended up blocking his number, and like I think, yeah, then he like made like an Instagram to like follow me. I blocked his number again, or I blocked his Instagram. And then like I think like 2 years later, he like did the same thing, and like again I blocked that, right? So for all I know, he could still be stalking me. But and I say all that to say, when I was talking to like one of my friends like the other day, she was like, yeah, like why have you not told this story for the channel? I was like, well, honestly, I just really haven't gotten to it because I don't really know how to like really like tell it, because it's so Mickey Mouse, just goofy clubhouse, all that stuff, because I never thought that I would ever be in a situation like that. But I will say this, it did teach me one lesson. It taught me that when you try to overextend yourself and you try to like be good, there are times where those good actions will be taken negatively. And so in this situation, I thought like, oh, I was just meeting a random fan. He said he was a fan of LSU sports, LSU track, sign a couple of autographs, maybe, sit down, talk with him, all that stuff. Like I thought like I was like actually doing something good. Like I thought like, oh, hey, it's good to kind of branch out and show the Baton Rouge community, like, yeah, LSU sports, like you guys are, behind us. We're behind y'all, right? I thought that was kind of necessary in my role, being that I was essentially like the oldest one on the team. Like I was one of the most tenured people on the team. So I felt like, yeah, like that was something that you should do. Like community service by athletes is like something that they tell you all the time. Like, yeah, you want to support the same people that support you. But at the end of the day, like I never imagined that I would be put in a situation like that where I try to do good, and then I have this, this old guy who wants to be my friend and stuff, and I'm just like, it's not bad, but it's just like there's a certain boundary, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not necessarily friends, but I'm not going to be rude to you. But at the same time, like you're a random person. No, you can't come to my family Christmas dinner. No, you can't come to the airport with my friend, with me, and all that stuff. Like, no, you can't do that. And no, I can't hang out with you 24/7 when I have class, practice, and like my own life responsibilities, like to my family especially, right? But he didn't understand that. And on top of that, it really wasn't even like other athletes' responsibilities to help him, because again, we're not trained healthcare professionals, but it didn't really seem like he wanted like help in that sense. It seemed like he just wanted like a friend. But again, I knew for a fact that I could not supply that because number one, the guy was like what, in his 50s. I'm like 24. Like, I'm not going to be friends with someone that's 50. I'm sorry. Like, no, this is not going to happen. But at the end of the day, did I want to just kind of present myself and be like, hey, we support you, all these things, and just kind of like show like a little bit of love from my LSU athletes? Like, yeah, 100%. But I never thought it was going to evolve and literally the guy successfully, which I mean successfully, unsuccessfully, getting my teammates to try to jump me, right? And I like, still to this day, I just think it's just a crazy story because it's just like, why? Like, none of that had to happen. But again, I learned my lesson. You can't always try to do good for people, because then you will have people where you give like an inch and they'll want to take a mile, and then they'll get or feel some kind of way whenever you cannot present yourself or provide in like certain ways, right? So in this situation, is like, yeah, I try to like be, I don't want to say like a good athlete or whatever, but I try to like show like, hey, we support you from, the track and field program, LSU athletics, all this stuff. Like, we got love for you. We love that you come out and support us, all this stuff, right? Can't do that. And that's part of the reason why I don't even like really give my number out anymore either. So yeah. And just even like situations kind of similar to that, where I don't really like helping people in general. And I'm not saying that again to be rude, but I'm very selective of it, because you do have situations where people don't want to be helped. They're just trying to take advantage of like other people. Like, for example, and I know this video is kind of running pretty long, but in 2016, my father, I had to stop my father from giving money to a homeless guy who 2 weeks prior, that same homeless guy, I actually caught saying the N word. Right. And my father got mad at me. He's like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? I said, I turned to him and I was like, hey, 2 weeks ago, the same guy was saying the N word, but he was willing to accept money from a black man. You see, so you got to be selective, but even saying that, you can't. I don't know. I just feel bad even saying that, honestly. But that's just kind of my experience. So if you learn anything from this video, don't get jumped by your teammates. And if you get a hit put out on you by an old man in a wheelchair, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, guys, that's the video. It's not really a tea talk. I know this video is gonna be long anyway, but I just wanted to like yap and kind of just tell my story with it. But yeah, it's still a crazy one. I'm not gonna lie. And I mean, I have tons of crazier stories, but yeah. So that's the story about how a guy in a wheelchair put a hit out on me. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Yeah, it's pretty much the video. So peace.